Hey, what's up, biscuits, bitches, and water cans? I am here to talk to you guys about something that is on my mind because I rediscovered a record that just fucked really hard back when it came out. It ended up being one of my favorite records that released that year. It was the Old Tower record, The Last Eidolon, which my review's already out there. It's quite a few years old, so I'm not going to jerk off about that record too much. I'm just gonna go ahead and talk about the overarching subject, and that is Dungeon Synth actually underrated? And the reason I thought this was interesting is if you look at the numbers comparatively speaking with a lot of like mainstream black metal, Dungeon Synth actually does some very, very good numbers depending on what band you're talking about, and I think a lot of that is because of like the algorithm of YouTube, but by the same token, a lot of these records not only slip under the cracks, but even the most popular ones I feel don't come up in conversation as much as they necessarily should. And just very quickly, if you're unfamiliar with what Dungeon Synth is, in the most traditional way of explaining it and the simplest way of explaining it, it's basically black metal and dark ambient music that is linked together, oftentimes having this OST sort of feel, sort of like movie or game theatrical vibe to it. Sometimes it can be really raw and sometimes it can be very well produced, but almost always it has this lavish and atmospheric feeling, sort of like dark ambient, and most of the time it will take a lot more from dark ambient than black metal. And basically this genre arose because the second wave black metal bands, mostly some of the first wave, but very much mostly the second wave, specifically in like Sweden and Norway, they were combining these ambient influences in the interludes, the outros, the intros of their music to sort of pad out the runtime, with even some of the biggest projects in black metal doing it, like Burzum. Damn, I know you could probably say this about most genres, but I feel like there is something to be said about how you don't get what you get from Dungeon Synth from like any other genre. Because as opposed to dark ambient music, which I actually am a very big ambient music fan, I don't really cover it that much on this channel, I would very much love to in the future. It actually gives me an idea to do some more videos about ambient music. I've been meaning to get around to that. The big difference between dark ambient and other genres is the medieval and fantasy approach to it. And of course, black metal as a genre has been obsessed with the notion of fantasy for a while. Look at a band like Summoning, look at a band like Caladan Brood. It's very widespread, the Tolkienisms and just the medieval fantasy of it all, but dark ambient takes it to the next level by really making it feel like some dark fantasy video game from like the 80s or the 90s, and it's just fantastic. Seeing what bands are able to accomplish with the production value either being extremely low fidelity or being very crystal clear is always very intriguing, and how they assemble these electronic influences and these different instrumental palettes. I think a lot of these bands and projects, which a lot of them are solo projects, get extremely creative with how they approach songwriting, because sometimes you'll have the black metal bleed into the sound a lot more with shrieks and black metal instrumentation like blast beats or just icy cold riffs at times, and then sometimes you'll get these projects that are much more focused around like these ice cold synths and all of these electronic influences, and it's just awesome to see what some of these bands are able to accomplish. But ultimately, even though a lot of these projects and these albums do some serious numbers, I feel like this genre does not get brought up in the mainstream as much as a genre like ambient or a genre like black metal. And even though some of these albums have hundreds of thousands, if not millions of views on them, I just don't hear these bands come up that much, or this genre be respected as much in the metal niche, despite being an offshoot of one of the largest metal genres. What are your guys' thoughts of this epic ambient dungeon synth genre though? Let me know down in the comment section below. I can't wait to hear it. Let's have a discussion about it. Do you love it? Do you not? Let me know. But otherwise, be sure to like this video if you enjoyed it, subscribe to join the review family today, and smash that notification bell to be notified of my future uploads. You know who it is, my name is Jay Morris, and I'm signing off saying farewell.